both an honor and a privilege to be here to represent the men and women in uniform who fight for our freedom. You see, I love America. We all love America. And the red, white, and blue shines bright in this great nation because there's patriots like you who understand that freedom is not free. I'm so honored to be here just because I love telling my story. But before I begin, I want to tell you a little bit about what I'm all about. You see, when I got one of my blood transfusions, I got a little female blood in me. So now I cry all the time. So if I get emotional, I want you to bear with me because you know what? I tell that story from my heart and my soul with emotion. My father once told me that when you take the oath of office to defend the greatest nation in the world, it is about God, country, family, and all of those that serve in the armed forces of the United States of America. It is in that spirit that I would serve 19 years of my life. Hispanic American understanding that freedom's not free and that every opportunity given to me to this nation was on behalf of military service and on behalf of the men and women who fight for our freedom. I'm so humbly honored that I got a chance to live and to thrive in this great nation, and I continue to do so. Every day I pray and think about the fact that our freedom is so important, but that our liberties of being happy, our religion, and all of the things that go about making us who we are as Americans is truly the shining bright star of who we are. And you see, my story begins on August 17th of 2004, when I would hit an improvised explosive device or roadside bomb that would change my life forever. We were through the city of Bakuba, Iraq. I had hit the 4th mile marker, and boom, the bomb exploded underneath my vehicle. First fragment hits my knee and breaks it in 3 places. Fragments to the left side of my body, I was in trouble. But through the grace of God and through the men and women in uniform, the enlisted and the non-commissioned officer, the backbone of our military, they were able to render aid, pull me out of that 128-degree heat of that burning cab and put me on that ground. And they began to render aid. Young man comes to me, combat medic, 21 years old. First thing that he says to me is, "Man, Major, you're hurt bad. If you've ever taken CPR, don't ever tell the patient that." But the thing about it is that young man took his training seriously. Like every enlisted and non-commissioned officer, they train, they rehearse, and they understand that when they take the oath, it's not about college or all these other things that are out there. It's about serving our country and serving the red, white, and blue. And no matter who the commander-in-chief is, when we go to war, we fight as a team, and we come back as winners when we come back on American soil. And to me, that was so important on that day. Not only would my life flash forever right in front of me, the thing that would be so inspirational is I would think about God, I would think about my country, and more specifically at that time, I would think about my family, my wife and my little girl back home. And if I died in Iraq on that day, the only thing I would wish and hope for from the American people would be that you would take care of my family for my sacrifice. How great it is that we live in a nation when we have learned from our mistakes that we made on our Vietnam veterans, and we aren't making those mistakes with our new warriors coming back. Of course, everything again flashes in front of you. And through that wind of air and the dust as it all settled, I remember I was taking every breath, and every breath counted. But the thing about it is I was put on a helicopter. I was headed to Baghdad. 45 minutes later, I would land. They began to render aid in Baghdad. I went in surgery. 17 hours later, I would wake up, a wounded warrior with a wounded spirit. But the thing that was so remarkable during that time was that 2 days later, the commander on the ground would come see me at that 31st catch. It would be General Petraeus doing something wonderful that all commanders do. They award the Purple Heart on the ground. See, this means a lot to me. It doesn't mean that I just have this award. It means that I sacrificed something for my country while serving it for the goodwill of you as Americans. I would go from Baghdad to Germany, Walter Reed Brooke Army Medical Center. I would go through a process where I'd have E. coli, Enterobacter, 2 staph infections, go from 195 to 118 pounds. And on October 1st, 2004, one of the saddest days of my life, I would lose my left leg forever. And I would be termed a disabled American veteran. You see, it was tough. It was tough going through that first night after amputation. My family would leave. They were tired. But they understood that, they had to get up early to take care of me the next day. But you see, it was during that time where the silent wounds of war would hit. I would learn that that night would be my start to recovery. I would have suicidal ideation, the night terrors, the night sweats, the hypervigilance, and the anxiety of thinking about how I was going to take care of my family. And it was hard and tough. But you know what? It was during that particular time, at about 12:04 at night, where I would look at a card that my mom had hung in my room with a picture of Jesus. And in that picture, it said that I would heal and that I would need to walk, not alone, but not only with him, but with you, the American people. I am so humbly honored that we have conservative values, that we believe in the red, white, and blue, that we understand that our men and women in uniform fight for us. And no matter what happens in Washington, we can make change everywhere across the country when the American people understand that we have a mission at hand. And to me, that mission would be impossible with the fact that I would get support, be walking in a prosthetic leg almost in 17 days, be honored at the University of Oklahoma a month and a half after this troubled and challenging time. I would go snow skiing about 4 months later, water skiing 8 months later, and then I would learn how to do everything adaptively. But you know what? I didn't walk alone in that support system. It was you, the American people, taking care of me. And it was the Vietnam veterans coming in my room and saying, you know what? The mistakes made on us won't be made on you, young man. We will make it right. They didn't get the welcome home they deserved, but we certainly will welcome them home each and every day from this day forward. Because you see, the problems that we have with them, they've understood that we can't have those same problems with us. I would learn one thing that would also impact me. That when you give to others, you're the one that's actually being helped. And it was at that time where I would learn that I would need to go back to work, pay taxes, be productive, and have a great quality of life and take care of my family. Give them the things that they need to have the best life possible, just like I've been rewarded in this great country. And through that process, I would begin to work at the Folds of Honor Foundation, which provides the spouses and children of the fallen wounded educational scholarships. To date, we've almost raised over $30 million and awarded over 5,500 scholarships to the families of the fallen and wounded. That's impact. That is impact. But what I want you to learn from that is that when you're at your toughest time and your most challenging event happens, that what you've got to look at is that as Americans, from all of the wars, past, present, and future, we've always fought, and we've never given up. That is the most humbling thing I can tell you. That as Americans, we don't give up. As conservatives, we understand it. The Ronald Reagans of the world provided us the beacon of light to shine in this great country. To not take, but to give. To give of yourself and your heart and your soul. To work hard and make a difference. And in doing that, I felt that there was something missing. And I would meet my good friend, Brett Dick, and Scotty D, as you all may know him. And of course, he talks me into, or they both talked me into, creating something for our veterans in this state. We would create Warriors for Freedom and provide mental, physical, and holistic support to our nation's heroes and their families. We would help our warriors when they come home with the mental health stressors that they have in their everyday life. Because you see, we would learn one thing real quickly. We would have veterans calling us saying, I'm hurting and I need help. And it's so great to know that we have an organization that will be the beacon of light for them and will give them the quality of support that they need to ensure that they're not left behind on the field of battle, so help us God. And as I end, I want to tell all of you, thank you for serving your community. Thank you for serving your country and your state. And thank you for serving God and understanding that the conservative principles that we have in this great nation will never waver. Because the red, white, and blue is what we're all about. We're Americans. We will stick together. No matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, bringing us together for the common good of this nation is what we're all about. And I ask you to humbly honor those that serve, past, present, and future, but also provide that support and give of your time. Because when you do give of your time, that time is rewarded in your heart and your soul. I want to end by telling you, it was General Peter Pace, a former Joint Chiefs, a stoic individual who I actually just got a chance to meet with President Bush down at the Warrior Oak in Las Colinas, Texas, which is basically Las Colinas area, Irving, Texas. And the thing that inspired me about that man, the Marine, would be, he would tell me something inspirational. What I want you to think about is what will you do to inspire others in what you do in serving your community, our state, and certainly this country. He would tell me, Major, always remember that on that day you didn't lose that leg. On that day, you sacrificed it for your country and for everyone in this nation to be free. Please continue to sacrifice your time, your money, and certainly your heart for the great nation that we call the United States of America. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Hoorah!
Hoorah!